Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our panel discussion, Reinventing VIP and Bonus Schemes. Thank you very much for participation. Let me introduce the panel members. First, we have Kali, who is head of VIP from Tenbet. Then we have Chris, who is CEO from L&L Europe. We have Ilse, who is Managing Director from Bonanza. And my name is Martin. I'm CEO and founder of Finlay. Welcome. We will run through a quite open discussion for the next 40 minutes. But anybody from the audience, if you have any questions, please pop us a message and we'll try to address it during the discussion. All right, let me start with a controversial question, Chris. Chris, is traditional VIP dead?
In short, yes. Traditional VIP. I think we have to take a step back. I guess everyone has different ideas and definitions of what a VIP is. In truth, you can't say that the traditional VIP is dead now. It's been dead for a long time. VIP was a very loosely used term in the industry for all these years. Anyone depositing twice in a row could be considered VIP. In some companies, I've seen that happen. In truth, if I had to say, I would say the procedure of how VIP is done is dead, but the actual VIP still exists. Now, the definition of VIP, thanks to regulators, has changed completely. You can't just look at and blindly shoot off VIP without keeping in mind all the compliance that now comes along with it. It's natural. Anyone who's been keeping an eye on the regulated markets in the last few years knows that if you don't pay enough attention to this key factor of your business, then it could get you in trouble. I mean, everyone knows, the 11 million fine that Betway got, closely tied to its VIP program. If anyone wants to have a sustainable business going forward, then it's very clear that they can't have a VIP program that isn't tightly closed with their compliance. Having said that, it really means that everything that was done before, your hospitality, your tiered program, your layers, your bonuses, your incentives, all of that still applies. The only difference is now is who are you giving it to, and have you made sure that they can actually be considered a VIP, not someone who's going to turn around and say, I'm in trouble, they just asked me to, they made me play beyond my control. That fine line between entertainment and problem. I mean, if you look at what the Gambling Commission has come out with in the last few years, you have, in their view, there's 47,000 VIPs in the country, even though they will not actually give us a definition of what a VIP is. They will tell us how many there are. But they'll also say that statistically, there's 8% of them which are VIP, which are problem gamblers, which are about 3,760 people. Now, if you have your procedures in place to separate those 3,700 people, then there's nothing restricting you from maintaining your own VIP program, making sure that it's functioning as it should. And as everyone knows, it's such an important contribution to your business. I mean, the truth is, it varies widely across the industry. Us, by principle, we do not have a VIP program. We do not push VIPs as such. We kind of extend it across the entire customer database, where some of our taglines are every customer is a VIP. But at the end of the day, traditional VIP in the sense of just blindly shooting out incentives to everyone that comes is dead.
So what does it mean, Kali? Do you need to print new business cards now?
Not exactly. I think it's a mix. While I agree with parts of what Christopher said, there's some areas that I think that we also need to look at, which I don't. Is traditional VIP dead? I think elements of it are, but it all depends on how companies have adapted over time. There's a lot of companies that still hold on to a very old school style of VIP management, which probably with modern day regulation is not applicable, and they're just buying time before they get a fine. The VIP concept in terms of gaming, though, as Christopher highlighted, the VIP is not going anywhere. It's just the systems that we have that need to reshape themselves. So we're currently in this transitional phase, which is constantly changing based on the regulation. And it's constantly being, I would say, redirected. So as you start working on something, it can change, as we've seen regulation changes constantly. So, you know, is it driving VIPs to, say, less regulated markets or to newer markets? Yes. Is it the best alternative? No. But when you look at the current VIP styles that we have and how we are managing VIPs, you need to look at what the approach a company is taking. Christopher highlighted that everyone is a VIP as part of their tagline. That's one approach. 10bet's approach is we don't believe in tiered structures because it's a form of enticement. People want to move to higher tiers in order to get higher rewards. We avoid those kind of structures because for us, it's not the most responsible. And if we're going to have a VIP program in line with the regulations now, which are tightening day by day, we need to adapt and we need to be more, I would say, creative in how we approach traditional VIP. And I think it's just been highlighted even more now during the COVID period that VIP is coming into the spotlight.
All right, Ilse, what do you think about VIPs? Is it dead? Do you have anything to add?
Pareto law still applies for gambling, and for some companies it's not even 80-20 but 90-10. So you cannot ignore importance of bigger customers, whether you call it VIPs, loyal customers, big customers for the company and for the business, and you need to take care of them and look after them. Now, what you can do with them starts to become limited, and you need to start to pay attention to many more things, including compliance. Especially, it becomes complex for companies which are multinational, and each country presents different requirements and different rules, and this is becoming extremely challenging for most companies to deal with right now.
Yeah, very much true. Thank you very much. So, of course, I think we can't really have a panel discussion without talking about Corona. I mean, you can't avoid the topic. It's simply everywhere. It has pretty much become part of our everyday lives. So, Kali, what do you think about, has Corona changed hospitality and face-to-face engagement? And will we see the good old hospitality times back again, or not?
So it absolutely has changed the face-to-face aspect of VIP. I mean, as we all know, hospitality and face-to-face engagement with customers, it's an integral part of what VIP experiences are about, the personalization of getting to know our customers, meeting up with them, and so forth. Customer engagement, you could even look at as a core of VIP. It's one of our values that really we build on in order to bring loyalty. Part of that is hospitality and personal interactions, events. And with Corona having overnight effectively stopped every single form of physical engagement with our customers, it did change the landscape of VIP. Those who had already built solid foundations and relationship with their customers would be able to endure. But for new VIPs where, you know, the enticement factor is we'll be a VIP and we'll give you tickets, that goes out the window. Do I believe that it's permanent or will be around for long? I don't believe it's permanent. Will we be going back to the way things were anytime soon? No. But having said that, when we do return, we're just going to look at the engagement side a little more tightly. Things like how many VIPs we engage with at one time. I think the selection type for the events that we will partake in will also come into consideration. For example, I would be more comfortable taking 2 or 3 VIPs to a VIP suite at a football match rather than hiring out a table at a darts event, because you're sitting in a crowded room with 500 to 1,000 people versus 20 people in a private suite. You're going to have to start looking at the selection process of where you engage your customers. I think you could even say you're not going to meet at the pub and have a drink or something before an event, because that's just going to conflict with where you are. So has it changed the hospitality and face-to-face engagement? Yes. Is it permanent? No. And I think it's just going to make us more mindful going forward.
Yeah, good point, good point. Chris, what's your opinion on the topic?
Well, so for us, Corona, let me paraphrase the saying, in every crisis, there is opportunity. And when it hit, like all other operators, we all quickly kind of shuffled to see what we're going to do, and we adapted, and how your treatment of your best players and how you deal with your customers is no exception. Suddenly you're speaking to them from home instead of the office. You're put in a new position. Well, I think what was key for us is that we understood that the players are now in a new position as well. And more than that, intrinsically, even your most introverted person needs social contact. So we found it as quite a good opportunity to kind of solidify those relationships, reach out to people, just see how they are, what they're doing, how if everything's okay, even if they're not gambling, just to see that to show that we genuinely care and trying to provide a bit of that top service, and the response was great. I mean, incredible. The amount of just the genuine, like, I was looking forward to your call, really happy to speak to you again. It was nice and everything. And even if they don't use your casino for a month, I mean, they still you still check in once a week or whenever and seeing. And you can tell that they were genuinely happy to have that approach. So for us, in our regulated markets where lockdowns were enforced, we saw the opportunity that we could provide a bit of that social contact that people were lacking, and that probably is temporary and won't come around again very soon, because I don't see any government going back into the same lockdown situation. Your traditional hospitality events will come back. Like I said, the intrinsic nature for people to have those social gatherings and social contact is just going to overwhelm everything else, and they will come back. Fans will return to stadiums. Having said that, people have realized that there are other opportunities. You could give different kinds of gifts. People have started to appreciate their home more. You could kind of give people access and exclusive access to remote opportunities, like being a virtual fan at the stadium, these kind of things in the great seats, or having exclusive conversations with top celebrities and key people. People can be very, very creative when they want to be, and that's never going to change. But I agree with Gali definitely that this situation is temporary, and we're going to go back towards the traditional hospitality.
I think it also opened us.
Go ahead.
Sorry, it also opened us up to the opportunity where, traditional areas of engagement also changed. We weren't just contacting customers for the purpose of enhancing their playability. We were looking, as Christopher highlighted well, for that. And on like the gifting side, buying seeds for gardens and things like that, where people had more time on their hands. They want to do something productive. And perhaps, take the UK, where furlough was a massive, massive area now with COVID. People had more time. They didn't have as much spare cash to gamble with. You saw there was a massive dip across the industry, which I'm sure we all felt. And slowly we're seeing it return as people return to work. So it's that period of time where you actually acknowledge people's circumstances. And then instead of just applying it to your previous requirements to remain VIP. You look beyond and you acknowledge the circumstance.
So, Ilse, you have quite a lot of experience from emerging markets. How important is hospitality in those markets, and how has Corona affected that?
Clearly, when the travel is restricted, there's no availability of events or possibility to visit them, then hospitality as such has stopped or became non-existent. However, I believe as events and travel becomes more available and accessible, it will return back to a bit more normal levels. However, I think a lot of companies right now also have forced experiment on them to see what happens if there's no hospitality and how it affects the relationship with VIPs, results and performance. And I believe companies will reevaluate the importance of events and hospitality as such.
Yeah, if we look at our industry, let's say the gaming and the sportsbook industry, SBC, I think, has done a very good job actually to move our traditional exhibitions and seminars online. So I think Chris mentioned that people can be extremely innovative if they want to or if they have to. And I think you also mentioned that the idea about virtual participation to some event or exclusive meetings with some celebrities. Have we seen anything like that? Has anybody experienced with virtual hospitality events?
Has anyone watched NBA games lately? How they have done with the whole wall of people calling in through Zoom and watching the game. I think this is beautiful solution to current day problem.
Yeah, it's done all throughout sport at the moment. We have had some examples of virtual hospitality. Funnily enough, sometimes even if you don't get to the player, sometimes you get to the family members, in the sense that there was virtual cooking classes with Michelin star chefs, and that was just kind of a very fun experience with everyone. And in a normal circumstance you would not really get the opportunity to be cooking with certain people and just learning certain secrets and all this stuff. It's all about the experience. Like Gali said, most of the time it's about the experience, the relationship you have with your account manager, and if they can trust the account manager, then and he knows the customer, then he knows what to set up, what's going to be good for your customer, and give them the experience that they want.
Yeah. So Chris, just to let you know, if there's a possibility to get the virtual seat in the next Formula One race behind Lewis Hamilton, please think about myself.
Everyone's behind Lewis Hamilton.
I'm flexible. Bottas is as good, All right, good. So let's move on to the next topic. What do we think about VIP players? Is it more interesting for them to actually get presents like gifts, or actually a cashback, or is it about the experience? Ilse, what is your view on that? What's your experience?
I'm a true believer that when it comes to VIPs, one size does not fit all. And when it comes to VIPs, it's all about customization and knowing your VIP and what is it that they're looking for and looking that they appreciate the most. What I see with VIPs and others can add, if they agree or disagree, that the loyalty actually comes not with the brand, but with the relationship that the VIP has with their account manager VIP manager, and that is something that's being built normally over a long period of time. So whether it's cash or a gift or experience, it is something that your account manager should find out what exactly is that your VIP is looking for. I've seen VIPs where privacy is extremely important. They would not go on social events. They would not meet up with other VIPs. And for such customers, normally cash would be something that they would be looking for, whilst others are there for all the fun, for entertainment and events. When it comes to account managers, I always have said that this probably is one of the biggest exposure and risk any company can have, since the loyalty normally is towards your personal account manager, and any management of the company should be fearing to lose such account managers. Probably there's been multiple cases where VIPs tend to follow their managers, irrespective of the brand.
Okay. So, Kali, what do you think? Are there any regional differences? I mean, do you see in certain market areas VIPs prefer, participation of experience?
There definitely is. There definitely is. I mean, you have to look at the impacting factors of where your VIPs are. I mean, there's so many different things that you have to take into account. What region are they in? You need to look at regulation. For example, alcohol is not allowed in any capacity in the UK. What is the age of your customer, their demographics, and so on. So there are also external, I would say, restrictions on what you can and cannot gift. And at the same time, as Ilse really well highlighted, it comes down to the relationship too. Personalization and customization of your VIP interaction stems down to the account manager. And it starts with them. We can effectively allocate a gifting budget. We can say this is how much each person can spend, but it's not about the monetary amount. It's about the personalization behind the gift or the experience. And that comes from the account manager. Loyalty stems to the relationship, not just the tangible item that you happen to send them in the mail. So in that case, I would say, what do players find more interesting? They're looking for something more concrete than just something that they could buy themselves.
Chris, what's your view on it?
Well, I think the fellow panel members covered pretty much hit the nail on the head and covered it really well. It kind of boils down to which player are we talking about. It always depends on the player. I mean, I know certain VIPs that it doesn't matter what the casino, what the sportsbook does. I mean, they're at a level where it doesn't matter what they do. I think the only advice I can give is I wouldn't worry too much about exclusive loyalty and retention and everything. I mean, nowadays with the advent of the internet and how everything is, you have multiple choices for everything. You don't have your one thing that you can stick to. Even if you just want to see TV, it's not even just Netflix anymore. You got your Disney Plus, you have your Peacock, it just keeps going on. So I think what you just need to focus on is going back to making sure that you're providing the top service, you establish a great relationship with your customer. And if you just know that they're coming back every now and again, it doesn't really matter if they're going with 10 other operators or not. The point is they're coming back to you, and for some reason they're happy with what you're offering. So as long as you keep that up, then it always depends on giving the player what they want.
Okay, thanks. We got some questions from the audience, which I would like to throw in. So David is asking, how much have your VIP ranks been cut back due to compliance issues? And which issues were the biggest factors? How about the industry as a whole? So who would like to answer that question?
I'd love to answer that question, Martin.
Please go ahead.
So it's Chris from Europe. this one's very easy for me to say, because as soon when I came in as CEO, the comments about VIP schemes and the possible dangers and the highlighting in the media of what it could mean were already coming to the fore, and you could see that it was going to be a hot topic basically for years to come. So in answer to you, to your question of how much has it been cut back, completely. We removed totally our VIP programs and our VIP loyalty, and we made sure, at least our reasoning and our philosophy was that if the UK were going to be looking a lot, which is our main market, the UK, if they're going to be looking a lot at these VIP programs and kind of scrutinizing them and seeing everything, then great, we're not going to have a VIP program, and that solves it for us. We've never been dependent on VIPs, thankfully, and with the way we operate our business. So we feel that basically we scrapped the VIP program and we shifted to a holistic approach where every customer is a VIP. So more general offers to everyone, kind of shifting that budget towards there.
Okay, thanks, Chris.
I'd like to jump in and add to that.
Go ahead, Kali.
So, I mean, how have the ranks been cut back? I think first and foremost, speaking from a 10-bet perspective, we've completely gone against any tiered structure. So we don't use tiered schemes. When you look at the anticipation of what is coming in the UK, we're going to have to start factoring in things like age restrictions now. The UK GC's proposed 25 years and above. So there are VIPs who are younger, believe it or not. And at the end of the day, that is also going to have an impact on the numbers. You look at other territories where regulation is far more strict, like Sweden, where VIP is absolutely forbidden. So it does have impacts. We've seen the same now with Corona and not taking such proactive approaches in engaging people as much as we previously did, simply because we are trying to be sensitive to the situation. We understand people are possibly gambling more now because they have more time. It doesn't necessarily make them a VIP. And that just comes through collaborative approaches and KYC, understanding rules. It's just taking a responsible approach and not being as aggressive as you could say the previous VIP programs may have run.
Thanks. Ilse, what is your view on that topic?
The risk, or what I have seen in certain territories, VIPs feel KYC and the AML requirements are a big invasion of privacy and are not happy to share such information. And the risk and challenge is that they are looking to move to gray markets, gray websites. So regulated companies who are compliant can bear can lose their VIPs due to this.
I'd like to chime in, Martin. Sorry, I don't want it all to be doom and gloom. I do believe that if you have a very structured VIB program that always takes compliance into account, as soon as you do all your checks, you just check, you make sure that they pass your AML, their source of wealth, your responsible gaming, you're very clear on what their affordability is and what the customer can actually do, and you have ongoing monitoring of that all the time, then there's nothing preventing you from offering your entire VIP portfolio with your hospitality, with your incentives, with everything. Obviously, you have to keep in mind the restrictions which Gali correctly mentioned, which are coming in. Yeah. You cannot have under 25 VIPs in somewhere like the UK. You cannot have VIPs in somewhere like Sweden, and it's becoming more and more common to have younger VIPs because of tech companies and just emerging industries and deals.
Yeah, I mean, I
think it all stems down to one focus area, which is simply transparency. Before when gambling in general was taboo and people used to, really see it as something that was negative, I think the world is kind of opening up that gambling, just like anything else, is just as engaging as any other form of entertainment. I mean, if you want to cross it to esports, where you're spending thousands and thousands of dollars with no possibility of monetary reward, you know, there's not much of a difference with how much people are spending on, say, esports versus gambling, except gambling gives you the means to win something back. So I think in that case, transparency and taking an approach where the reasons for your actions are very clearly defined and communicated with your customers. There shouldn't be this, I would say, conflicting approach from a customer not wanting to give you something or driving them to the gray market. It shouldn't be like that. And that's where companies that are... Sorry, go on.
Go ahead. I was
just saying, if companies can meet... if companies can meet the compliant requirements while maintaining a transparent approach when engaging their customers, you should have no reason not to retain your customers with the various requirements that we need from them, KYC, AML, and the responsible affordability checks.
I definitely agree that I think VIP treatment can be done in a very responsible way, and I do not necessarily see a conflict there. I mean, we can also look at other industries. I mean, a good example is the airline industry. At least I personally, I like the priority treatment when I board a plane. So people in general, I think they appreciate a good treatment, you know. All right, let's move on. We have one more question from the audience, from Nikolai. He's asking, how do you see the importance of gamification when we talk about VIP segment? And that actually brings me also to the question, are VIPs and players in general, are they more loyal to the operator, or are they actually more loyal to the games and to the game providers? Who wants to go?
I happily go again. Well, I am a massive gamer myself. I've always been since since I can remember. I've always been gaming. So the concept of gamification in every other business just appeals to every part of me. The unfortunate is you have to be very careful on how you do the gamification. Like Gali said before, it really is very similar to a bit of a incentive for a tiered program, because you are encouraging players to just get to that next level, do that next thing. I mean, everyone's very familiar with the gamification that is present in video games generally, and now in the industry. You know, you have your achievements, you have your trophies, you hit a big win here, hit a big win here, do 100 spins, 1,000 spins. You just have to be careful how you tailor them. Getting to the next level can be interpreted as an incentive to gamble more. So even though I love it, and I mean, like, it actually contributes greatly to my entertainment of it, you just have to be careful as to how it's implemented. I mean, I know that people have played around a lot with the gamification on a game provider level, as Martin said, with particular widgets, with additional features, with additional options that you know you can trigger with certain after a certain amount of gameplay. The idea is that you always go back to ensuring that you're responsible and not going to get caught basically with your pants down, that you've been incentivizing your entire customer database to get to that next level. It's answering your second. Sorry, yes. Okay.
Second risk there, going with overdoing gamification, that it becomes so complex to understand what you need to do to get to next level or do this achievement, that it can become also off-putting for a certain group of players.
Of course, 100%. I think the biggest challenge is how you come up with a gamification system which will tailor to your normal customer base as well as your VIPs. Because really, if you are a proper VIP, you're going to jump up through those levels in a day, 2, 3. I mean, whereas you know your normal casual player will get frustrated that they haven't even reached the next level from the beginning. So it is a bit of a difficult balance. So I mean, like, obviously myself, I would love as a consumer to have multiple ways to achieve that, which would be both possible and acceptable for the casual player as well as the the your hardcore gambling dedicated person.
But I think it also goes beyond just your general customers, because you're seeing gamification present itself in VIP programs with exclusive invites and higher tiered reward programs in terms of like exclusive leaderboards with bigger cash prizes and bigger requirements and so on. You're seeing it in slot tournaments where the wagering requirements need to be higher, and they are catering to the people who can afford it. So gamification is not just limited to your general client base anymore, where in the past it was, and everyone could partake and the VIPs would dominate and they would always win the prizes, and that would lead to frustration. Now it's being segmented. How do we gamify the experience? As a gamer myself as well, like I love the reward, but for clients, it's an enticement tool, and with the regulators, it's seen as something that's irresponsible. So there's a very fine line between what is responsible gamification and what is seen as taking advantage of people's interests.
Right. Thanks, Kali. So there's one more question coming from the audience from Mike. Let's have a quick answer. Basically, Mike is asking, what would you suggest to do if there is the regulation in a country does not allow a VIP program, like, for example, in Sweden?
Don't offer it.
Well, that was a quick answer. Okay, you have to find other ways to re-engage your players than via a VIP program, basically.
I have an answer if you want. To chime in. If you can't do your traditional VIP program, your hospitality and everything, then it just comes back down to your product. You have to make sure you offer as many games as possible on your system. You have to offer, obviously this always depends on what kind of offering you have. If you're limited to one particular type of product, so you cannot offer additional games, you can't offer additional verticals. So it's important that you base it down on your just traditional foundational aspects of the business. Make sure you have exceptional customer support. Make sure you can push a great experience for your customers generally. If you cannot on paper have a VIP program, there's nothing stopping you from handpicking several of your customers and making sure that they're okay, seeing that they're fine and everything. I mean, they're not going to get any inducement. They're not going to get any kind of next level or tiered program or platinum badge or priority access to an airline, but they will at least feel that you're taking care of them and that they're getting excellent customer service.
Thanks, Chris. I'd like to come to the end of this panel. We have 3 minutes left. So let me go one more round to everybody, and please have a closing statement, not more than a minute. Ilse, would you like to start? Just a closing statement, anything what you would like to add to the panel?
Beyond cash prizes, bonuses, entertainment, the biggest attention I believe any company should pay when dealing with VIPs is the relationship and excellent customer services on what Chris mentioned. And depending on the country and regulation you're operating, you then see what you can do on top. But the loyalty lays with the account manager, with the relationship you have built with your VIP.
Thank you, Ilse. Kali, any closing statements?
I think just adopting the general philosophy of
Go ahead. Now we can hear you.
For those who manage VIP programs, simply applying a rate with your compliance and risk teams, compile your KYC before engaging customers or offering the VIP status, because if their risk levels raise, you're just going to lead them to disappointment, and just approach it with a responsible mindset before engaging the customer.
Thanks, Kali. Chris, any closing statements?
Yes, I mean, to build on everything we've already discussed now, I think I would like, just my opinion, obviously, if there are operators here listening that are currently working in the unregulated markets or the getting regulated markets, my word of advice would be look very closely at what the regulated markets are doing now, because it could be happening very soon to those markets as well. So if you get an early head start on making sure that you have certain processes in place, even if you don't do them now, if you don't execute them now, but you know that you might need to have step 1, 2, and 3 in the future, so your VIP program can continue as it is. It won't be as much of a big shock to your system and to your business if it does come into place. And I think that how things are progressing, most regulators will look to mimic each other and introduce similar restrictions. So the restrictions that are being spearheaded now by people like the Gambling Commission are, I would say it would do you well to look at those closely and start seeing how you can integrate them into your business at a later stage.
All right. Thank you very much for the panelists to actively participate in this live discussion. Thank you very much. And also thanks for the participants for listening and also bringing some questions forward.
Great. Thank you, Martin.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Ciao.